And today is a little bit about sustainability. So without further ado, thank you for Farmable for organizing this. So who are we? FAST, Fruit Advisory Services team, and we focus on developing and growing partnerships with our grower members. And we believe in a team philosophy and give unbiased advice to our members. So FAST, we specialize in many fruits: apples, pears, plums, grapes, strawberries, and all types of crops. And it's something that we as a team are very passionate about. So we're originally, our base is here at Brogdale Farm in Kent, and this is where the National Fruit Collection is, and we work with the University of Reading to maintain this collection. Since our foundation in 1981, the UK has been through quite a bit of technical change, and technical changes from big open vase apple trees to high density spindle trees. And for example, crops are covered by cherries, and rapidly changing growing systems exploited by strawberries and raspberry growers. So FAST is a unique team of specialist agronomists providing comprehensive advisory services to fruit growers throughout the UK and Europe. So when you engage with a FAST advisor who has integrated an understanding of pesticides, biological controls, and nutrient management, together with a deep practical knowledge of plant husbandry techniques. We're experienced people, and we collaborate with our growers to ensure that the wide range of situations are handled in the correct way. We have an in-house laboratory, which provides testing that is built around scientific fruit crop relevant methods. And we believe in a regular analysis of vital and growing, excuse me, start to catch my tongue there. We believe in regular analysis of soils, leaves, compost, water are important to building yields within our fruit. And this is why we have a laboratory that tests on a regular basis many different aspects of the farming. Sorry, I just got a prompt here.
So sorry about that. Please ignore.
Thank you. So we provide many different services here at FAST, and for example, coir types, plant materials, and tunnels and trees and plants are just some of the things we advise on. For example, pests and diseases monitoring and controls are important to developing fruit in high tonnage environments. Estimating yields and harvest dates, we do that with a laboratory. Integrated crop management systems, which include pests and diseases. Soft and top fruit programs designed for specific orchard requirements. For example, increasing color, size, tonnage, and qualities of all types of fruit. So what's new in sustainability? Well, while all our advisors are visiting growers and crop walking, we are also focusing on what's next and how can we improve and adapt. There are many projects that are going on in the background that you sometimes see. So I'd like to share a few of those with you. For example, cover crops, which I'm extremely passionate about. And So what are cover crops? How to improve soil health, building up organic matter, nitrogen fixing. These are just a few of the benefits of cover crops. And we feel that this is integral part of building a sustainable future within the farming industry. And by developing efficient microbial ecosystems and feed programs for these crops, it's essential that we find that there's excuse me, I was reading something and now I've embarrassed myself. So we focus on high performance feed recipes from crops grown without soil. These are just a few. My colleague James has spent a lot of time focusing on a very interesting topic of fruit dry matter analysis. And this is basically the relationship between fruit quality and apple performance, apple orchard performance on tree. This is basically trying to find the sweet spot between fruit dry matter and crop loads and targeting thinning to optimize dry matter accumulation. This is important to try and enhance fruit quality on the tree and in long-term storage as well. Biological control of aphids. With the loss of so many chemicals in the industry currently, this is becoming an important topic, not only in soft fruit, but in top fruit too. And the use of parasitoids as a preventative early in the crop season, is becoming more and more prevalent. The sustainable use of plastics, with tunnels being such an integral part of so many crops within the UK, this is a must when it comes to climate change and global warming. So these are just a bit of a few of the projects that we are currently working on, and in order to build a sustainable future within the farming industry. So in short, in summary, using technology to test and evaluate the needs for plants and the derived norms developed by FAST, we can provide expert advice on what is needed by plants to increase yields. By using biological insects to control pests and disease, we can build an eco-friendly environment controlling unwanted species within our orchards and tunnels. The use of cover crops will be greatly beneficial to our growers for so many reasons. How we build a sustainable future is up to all of us to work together to provide an agronomic solution to increase yields while being environmentally friendly. This is a challenge we all face, and I believe we can solve by working together. So that's it from me. Thank you for everyone listening, and are there any questions?
That was great. Thank you so much, Charles. Really appreciate you taking the time to build that presentation for us. One helpful tip that I'll ask each of our speakers today to do at the end of their presentations, Charles, maybe in the chat you see at the bottom, when you get a minute, just leave your email and phone number there as well, so that if we have people who haven't added a question now or aren't able to attend the breakout rooms at the end of our session today at 11 a.m., they can always contact you directly. Okay, so you can just use the chat there to leave.
Yeah, we'll do.
And there we have as well your contact information, which is great. Okay, super. Okay, we'll move on to our second speaker then for this morning. I have a great pleasure in introducing Ollie Hilburn. Ollie is the founder and operations director at Outfield. Ollie has a background in aerospace engineering, and he's now leading Outfield's operations and R&D effort. So he has expertise in drone surveying for agriculture and oversees the development of the systems at Outfield. He's going to speak with all of us today about drone maps for precision spraying. Ollie, over to you.
Fantastic, thanks very much. So let me just share my screen. Hopefully you can see that. If I put that into full screen, has that come through okay?
Not yet.
There we go. Has that come through?
It hasn't launched in full screen, Ollie, but it's still fairly large. So
Fair enough. All right, maybe we'll just leave it like that then. Oh, come
Oh
on.
yeah, I think it's coming now.
it's coming. It's just
Oh,
taking.
it's just taking its time. Doesn't matter. Okay, well, anyway, we'll do it like this. Good morning, everyone. My name's Ollie. As Kay said, I'm one of the founders of Outfield. We're a startup. We're based here in Cambridge. And I'm going to talk today a little bit about the Outfield system, about what we're doing this year, about the data we're gathering, and then also something we're doing a lot of this year, which is taking our maps, our drone maps of orchards, and turning those into maps for precision application, precision spraying, and things like that. So that's what I'm going to talk through. To start out with, I want to talk a little bit about the fruit farm of the future, or at least the way that we think about the fruit farm of the future. In our little section that we're thinking about remote sensing and farm data, talk a little bit about how we see the fruit farm of the future, or the digital fruit farm. So I'd like you to imagine, if you will, farm manager in the morning wakes up and checks his data management system for the farm. It's got a notification. There's a spray prescription for 3 of his orchards is ready to go. And so he checks the system. It's all available there, takes a look at it. He's happy with that. Through the system, he can take that prescription, which has been produced, and send it out to the sprayers. So he does that all through the system. Off it goes. There you go. We've got these robotic, completely driverless robotic spray systems. We've all seen demos of this kind of technology before. So he pings off those prescriptions and off they go. The data goes straight to the system. It trundles out of the garage, goes off to the orchard, and it does its spraying, and it gets underway. But maybe for one of these prescriptions, our grower, our farm manager is not happy, wants to dig into that data, wants to see where's that data coming from. And so he starts interrogating that, starts taking a look at, well, how's this prescription been made? How's it been put together? What's the data? So he's pulling up scans of his orchard. He's looking at previous scans, time history. So what was this orchard doing last week? What was it doing last year? He might want to send that out and communicate that to his teammates, so they go and do a manual assessment on the farm before he commits to that sprayer prescription. And so he can do lots of things with that data and dig into that data. But what data is he looking at? What's this data that he's looking at? Well, he's looking at scans of surveys of his orchard that were gathered that morning. On his site, he's got a drone. It sits in a box. It sits in the farmyard. All the charging, all the data download is all handled by this completely automatic system. The drone flies itself from this box. There's absolutely no input from any of his teammates, from any of the farm team. And this drone unit can cover all the orchards on the whole farm once every 5 days. So every 5 days, he's getting fresh data, fresh information about the farm. And of course, this data is not just useful for sending off to robotic spray systems. It can be used for all sorts of things. It can be used for within the team, sharing it with other team members. He can be sharing it with his agronomist and with external advisors. He can be sharing it with his sales and marketing desk. So all the way through the supply chain, this data can be useful, yield estimates, things like that, really getting the supply chain ready. So when we take all that together, automatic data gathering, automatic data processing, tools for looking at that data and digging into that data and sort of analyzing that data, being able to send that data to systems that are precise, that have precision and levels of automation, and being able to share that data with other partners, with other systems, with other platforms. We take that all together. That's how we think of digital fruit farming. That's how we think of the future of fruit farming. And that sounds great. How far away is it? How far away is this bright and shiny future? Well, we'd like to think it's maybe not that far away. So I want to talk a little bit about the Outfield system and how we're starting to address a few of these different bits, these different blocks of this digital fruit farming. The Outfield system for 2021, for this season, we're offering two features. There are two things that the system does this year for users of the system, and that's blossom mapping and fruit mapping. So over on the left-hand side, we've got our blossom map. We can see a heat map there of an orchard, and this is data specific to the orchard. It's gathered on demand straight from that orchard, showing the loading, the number of blossoms on the field, number of blossoms on the tree in different parts of the field. So heat map going from pink to white, and it's not just high and low levels. Those colors are related to specific numbers for that orchard, for those trees, telling you how many blossom clusters you've got on that tree. Is it 300? Is it 400 blossom clusters? How many have you got there? Helping you to see how the blossom is progressing, helping you to plan thinning, etc., etc. Over on the right, fruit loading, same thing again. We're counting the number of fruit there. How many fruit have you got for this part of the orchard? What's the average number of fruit in the tree? 200, 300 fruit on the tree. Which bits of the orchard are overperforming? Which bits are underperforming? If you had to go and do some thinning, if you had to go and check out some bits of the orchard, which bits would you focus on? So those are the two things that the system's doing this year: blossom mapping and fruit mapping. With the fruit mapping as well, we're also using that to generate fruit counts, a total count of the number of fruit in your orchard. And later this season, we'll be working with growers to take those fruit counts, combine it with quality data, size data, and turn that into a yield estimate. So in a number of bins, a number of kilos of fruit that you can expect to get out of that orchard. So I'm hoping a lot of people on this call will be familiar with Outfield, will have seen us talk before, and have seen maybe seen the system in action. But for anyone who's not familiar, who's not heard, not come across Outfield before, I sort of run through the system. What's it doing? How does it work? Essentially, we use small autonomous drone systems to gather data across orchards on demand, quickly and effectively, to feed all this data, to give you all this data. We use consumer photography drones. That's the type of drone we use. They're small, they're relatively cheap, they will fly themselves, and they've got fantastically high resolution cameras. So it checks all the boxes for getting this data and giving us the information we need. The particular drone we like, it costs about £2,500 to get the drone and all the equipment, all the batteries and everything you need to get it running. The drones fly themselves. You can fly it on demand when you need it. The drone will take off itself, fly itself, land itself. Outfield processes that imagery. So we're using systems, machine learning and computer vision systems to pick out the features, fruit and blossom clusters, as I said. And then we're processing that data into maps and spatial data, giving you those results. And something we're working with a lot with growers this year is using those maps and finding the best way to use that data to drive interventions in the field, thinning, pruning, operations like that. So that's the Outfield system, and that's the idea. That's how it's working. If anyone wants more information, come and find me in the breakout room, and I'll go into more detail on that if you want. Everything is hosted through the Outfield platforms. This is a web platform. We've launched it this year. Aardvark Farms. That's not actually a real farm. You're surprised to hear. So it's a web-based platform. It's all running through your browser, very easy to access, and it does all the things that I just mentioned. So you're able to log in, get your drone flight paths. So you're able to fly your drone when you want. Very easy. Download those, put them straight in the drone. It does everything for you. You can upload all your information there. When your results are ready, you can download those through the platform and view all that there. And you're able to add orchards and edit and change orchards as you need as well. As I said, this is the platform for 2021. This is ready to go. We're launching this with some growers in the UK and also overseas as well. If anyone's interested, the cost is £100 per hectare this year. Let me know if you want to know more. Come and find me in the breakout room. So that's where the system is 2021. And now I'm just going to talk very quickly about what we've got coming up, or what comes next for us. And I think Claire is going to talk a bit about this in her talk from MP Seymour. But this is a project that we're doing with MP Seymour and a few other consortium partners. You can see some of them down the bottom there. And this is a really exciting project we're really excited about for this year. We're looking at precision application of brevis for an orchard in Kent, or a couple of orchards in Kent. And we're looking at doing dosing on an individual tree basis. So those blossom loading maps I was talking about earlier, we're going to be taking those maps, breaking them down to individual trees, producing a very high resolution map of for the orchard on an individual tree basis, and then feeding that data into a special precision spray unit. And Claire is much more qualified to talk about that part of it than I am. But the idea is that each tree is going to get an individually tailored dose of this of thinning agent, which is really exciting. A really high level of precision in the spraying. So that's one project that we're looking at this year. We'll be testing that out. Something else we'll be doing this year, and I don't have a picture of this, is looking at precision application of fertilizer. So variable rate fertilizer, I think lots of people using that in the UK now. There's probably quite a lot of people on this call who've tried that out. And those precision application maps are usually based off of soil data. So something we're looking at this year is measuring the tree size and the tree vigor directly, which is something we can pick up from the shape of the tree in the drone imagery. Creating maps of tree size and tree vigor, comparing those to soil data, soil compaction data, soil conductivity data, whatever it is. How do those relate? Can we use those drone maps of tree size to inform and make better decisions about application of fertilizer? So that's something we're looking at as well. And then later in the year, we're also testing out systems for color assessment. So not just counting those fruit, but also telling you how they're developing in terms of color, particularly useful for your premium varieties for apples, things like your Jazz, your Kanzi, or Pink Lady, or Cosmic Crisp, whatever it is they grow in America. Those kind of, your premium varieties, really good for that. Giving you maps of how that color is progressing across the orchard, and then also sizing fruit on the tree from the drone. That's a really hard problem, but we've got some really good research partners, so we'll be working on those as well. So then, just to finish up, going back to this slide of the digital farm that we think about, this model that we've got in our mind when we're building Outfield. Where are we? How far away is this? Well, it's hard to say. I mean, a drone in a box that does all your surveying for you, that might be 5 years away. It might be 2 years away. That one's really hard to tell. With that data gathering and data analysis piece, we've taken the first few steps towards that. We're starting to build that, but there's so much more that we want to do. And we really are looking for users and input from the industry. What problems do you want to solve? What things do you want to see? What bits of data do you want to be gathered? What do you want to know about? Putting that data into precision systems, we're starting to see more of that. That's starting to become mainstream. And that's something that we really want to do more of. And then that last bit, sharing that data with other platforms, with other partners, that's something that is really important to us at Outfield. This data shouldn't just sit on your Outfield app. It shouldn't just be siloed away on one system. You should be sharing that data. Data should be flowing around all the systems of your farm all the time, sharing it with your agronomists, sharing it with your team members, up and down the supply chain, other platforms, all sorts of things. So that's how we think of the digital future of farming. How far away is it? I don't know. Difficult to say, but we are trying to get there as quickly as possible. My name's Ollie. I'm the operations director for Outfield. Come and find me in one of the breakout rooms. I think that's just about it. So I guess back to you, Kay.
Great. Thank you so much, Ollie. I think, for a lot of us, you are, the entryway into the future. And, at our farm. No, but at our farm, I mean, we have the drone, we've tried your system, and, it's motivated us to make sure that we have map layers, for those types of variability maps in a farm management system, because there are growers out there who are using this today. So I think, when you say how far away is it, there's lots of us out there who are at least trying to take those first steps, and you're making it easy for us. So thank you.
Okay, I think we have a question.
Great.
In the chat, yeah.
Yeah, I think we got time for one question. Ollie, how far are we from autonomous drones to being able to fly down polytunnels?
Ooh, yes. I get asked this question quite a lot. Can you fly a drone in a polytunnel? The answer today is not really. Not if you value the integrity of the drone and the integrity of the polytunnel. They don't mix well. But I think that technology really is coming. We've got the drones we use now out of the box. They will fly themselves and execute those flight paths. They'll do obstacle avoidance. They'll avoid big things like trees and cranes and buildings and things like that. They're not so good at avoiding telegraph poles. Telegraph poles are my nemesis. The drone just can't see them. So, but flying drones in polytunnels, yes. I really don't know. Hard question to answer, but I'm hoping somewhere between 1 and 5 years. I'm really sorry, I can't be more specific.
That's fine, that's good. And a big thank you to Emily for being the first one to ask a question. Much appreciate that. So I think what we'll do is we'll jump right into our third speaker, which is Claire Seymour from NP Seymour. Claire has grown up around the workshop. Many of you, would probably know her. She's graduated from Plumpton College and has been interested in innovation for a long time. She is the director of NP Seymour, a 45-year family-run business focusing on machinery. And they also do service and parts, specifically for orchards. Claire is going to talk to us about the latest development in machinery. Looking forward to it. Claire, it's yours.
Good morning, guys. I hope it's as nice and sunny with you as it is here. Yeah, thank you, Kay, for the introduction. Yep, the business was started by my parents in 1974 and is now headed up by me for my sins. Yeah, we specialise in helping fruit farmers, hop growers, packhouse managers, vineyard owners and winemakers with all their equipment needs. Our sales team have grown up around orchards and vineyards, so understand the day-to-day challenges our customers face, and we work hard to find the right specialist machinery and equipment to suit the individual needs, really. As machinery distributors, we can help you become more sustainable with equipment to improve yields, reduce chemical usage, look at ways to reduce your carbon emissions and footprint, as well as mechanise where possible to reduce the labour input. Can I have the next slide, please? So, how do we increase yields? Oh, the next one after that. The Red Pulse is a pneumatic defoliator that pulsates to remove leaves in order to improve the sunlight and air circulation. We supplied the first one to a top fruit grower in the UK last year. It's not a new system because it's been tried and tested in vineyards with great success for many years, so we know it works. It's used at least 2 weeks before picking, and the unit head height has a work height of about 1.2 metres, and there's no contact with the fruit, so there's no damage. It's shown to improve colour and uniformity of that colour, the quality of the fruit, and it also helps make picking easier and ultimately the crop value. This machine is from Fruitec, who are the company that actually developed the Darwin blossom thinner that many of you will be familiar with. They've now incorporated a universal headstock that would take this machine, the Darwin blossom thinner, as well as a mechanical pruning saw. So this reduces the need for multiple headstocks. And the three machines are combined with mechanisation in mind and reducing labour requirements. So the feedback we had for the customer with the Red Pulse that we delivered last year, they loved it. They'd estimated it would, I think it would take 3 years to pay back. What they actually saw, it's a farm that's got Braeburn as the majority. They saw a 15% increase in colour as an average across that site. They felt that the extra value and the profit that they had seen as a benefit from using that machine, it had paid for itself in the first year. The only comment they had was, I don't think I've got a video of it, but because they hadn't pruned and there was, some branches and growth, if they'd pruned first, trimmed back first, that would have helped a bit. But they absolutely loved the machine. As Ollie mentioned, variable rate fertiliser spreaders. So KRM offer a fertiliser spreader which has got a variable rate controller linked to your tractor speed sensor. But then there's also the further option of an automatic advanced GPS control unit. And this doesn't require a tractor with GPS, so it makes it much more user-friendly. You can use your prescription maps, and it therefore offers a very efficient, targeted fertiliser and nutrient application. With a 2-row kit, the spacing can be adjusted from 1.5 to 5 metres. And if you remove the row kit inserts, then you can spread at widths of 10 to 18 metres if you want to do other spreading as well, rather than just your orchard. Capacity 700 litres, and the option to extend up to 900 litres. So you can reduce unnecessary fertiliser application as opposed to blanket spreading. You know, if you work with your maps, you can have an enormous cost saving there. One thing I would say, though, if you are looking at variable rate spreaders, is KRM are currently the only manufacturer on their small spreaders to have electronic actuators. Competitors have hydraulic actuators, so they actually won't do the task correctly and properly. Can I have the next slide, please? Thank you. So, as Ali was talking about, we are working on a project to develop a system that reads the tree density and blossom density with a view to allow variable rate application of thinning agent for blossom. The plan is also for us to then be able to use that same system to apply foliar feeds. So where trees are underperforming and needing to be treated at a higher rate, we will be able to work with that. So there's often a considerable number of trees in an orchard that do not crop to their full potential and reduce that orchard profitability. If we can help improve the performance of those trees, then overall yields will therefore increase. Our role in this project is to fit a sprayer that is able to spray at varying rates, tree by tree, and travel at normal commercial spraying speeds. That's really important. The desired rate is provided from information previously gleaned by LiDAR and information collected and mapped by drones. The spray is going to be fitted with GPS to pinpoint the location and work with the mapped data, and then alters the rate that is being sprayed by pulsing that nozzle. So the pressure remains constant, and the rate of spray coming from that nozzle is variable from 0 up to 100%. Not only that, but different rates, we plan, can be applied through different heights of the tree. So through that vertical plane, you might have more foliage in the middle and less at the top or at the bottom. Then actually we can adjust that spray. The overall target is to improve tree health, fruit quality and yields, and therefore reduce chemicals and save costs. So this technology has been used successfully on arable sprayers throughout the world for a number of years, and only now is it just being applied to fruit sprayers. The intention with this kit is a bolt-on kit for any orchard sprayer, not just sprayers from one manufacturer. And this tech will mean that in the future, individual trees can be sprayed in relation to their leaf area, and not as happens now, where good foliage is sprayed in the same volume as trees with less foliage. Okay, can I have the next slide, please? Other things that we can do that are quite simple is mulching our prunings rather than raking up and burning. And you could also consider multitasking. You know, mowing and spraying is not new, or combining it with mechanical weeding, but maximise the time spent and fuel burn when you're out in the orchards. Some growers are considering cover crops or larger wild headlands, and I think that's really great for the soil. There's a picture there of a crimping roller, such as a bar roller, and that will help manage that. Harvest platforms, they are really popular, and there's much to be said on mechanising fruit picking, but I don't think I have the time today. I've also seen various robot and drone harvesting systems and are being tested. But they look really interesting. I think there's a lot to go yet. Some of them perhaps not delicate or quick enough by a mile yet, but it will come. May I have the next slide, please? Thank you. So Fendt have built an electric tractor, which has been around for a couple of years, the E100, and I've seen it a few times. Fendt's concern is that the current battery technology is not viable for what we require going forward. So they're also looking at alternatives such as hydrogen. I mean, but battery tech changes so quickly that who knows what that holds. But I've also seen some other concept tractors, like the Monarch one there that I have been speaking with. Yeah, I think they are coming. It will be interesting. But as many of you know, I'm hugely passionate about Fendt tractors. So one of the things that at the moment, one of the things that I regularly hear from customers is about the fuel efficiency of these tractors. And they give really impressive fuel savings. Even if you don't want to consider another brand, have you really investigated if you need such a high horsepower tractor and whether you can reduce the diesel that you are using? Not being funny, but I'm convinced sometimes it's a bragging contest as who has the higher GDs. Driverless tractors, you know that we've been doing those for a while. Sadly, the technology was bought out by another manufacturer as they wanted to develop that for use in golf courses, which is a bit disappointing, but I think there are other people in the pipeline working on that, so we'll keep you posted. On the Fendt subject, and this goes with some of what Ollie has been saying actually, is I've been interested in learning more about the Fendt One concept and the options that we now have available to us. They have been on the larger tractors for a few years, but only just coming into our little tractors. So with the availability of an isobus connection, for example, we could plug our KRM variable rate spreader or PWM sprayer directly into the tractor and then work with that data on the terminal screens rather than having another interface. So you could then send and receive your tasks and update the farm office with what the task was, and the location of where the task has been carried out. And just, as Ollie said, digital fruit farming. Let's figure out ways to work smarter and not harder. And I would imagine that can all be coordinated with Outfield tech in the future. There's so much that can be done. It's really interesting. I should stop waffling. Now, this is just a highlight, but there are a few things that we can work on to be more sustainable now. One of the easiest things, why don't we all start with something simple and health check your equipment? The most simple thing we can all do today is check your tractors are running at their most fuel efficient and have them serviced correctly and regularly. Burning fuel and oil excessively through improper maintenance is not being environmentally friendly. Be aware of those fuel and oil leaks on tractors, but also leaky sprayers or other kit, leaking a gearbox oil everywhere. It's those little things that will help too. Anyway, hope that's some food for thought, and thank you for coming along and listening.
Thank you so much, Claire. Great presentation. And it's prompted another question from the audience, which is great. So thank you, Graham Moore, for contributing with our second question. It's addressed to Ollie and Claire, but Claire, I'll let you take a crack at it. What is the current reliable accuracy of GPS in terms of location? Near centimeter, meter? Are there specific systems that are required in your view?
GPS down to about 10 centimeters. If you want to become more precise, which you would do in an orchard really, you would want to then go to RTK, which is down to around a centimetre. Would Ollie agree?
Ollie, anything to add? All right.
Yes, I'd say exactly that. And I would say that RTK is a lot more accessible than it used to be sort of 10 years ago. The arable sector has been using RTK tractors and things. They can hit those same tram lines with centimetre precision for years. There are a bunch of networks that cover the whole of England and especially the Kent growing area and stuff. So yeah, RTK, and it's becoming a lot more accessible.
Wonderful. We were hoping to run a poll, so let me just see here. Vidi, do you still have the ability to send over those poll questions? If not, we can do it through an email later. I don't see it on my side, so I'm just asking whether you see it on your side. If not, we'll take it through email. Shall we do it that way? Yeah, okay. So what we'll do, we wanted to make sure that we got your feedback session or your feedback captured from today. We really appreciate everybody taking their time. Sometimes you can manage a live poll, but what we'll do is we'll send across a survey with the recording to all of you who have attended. And it's very important that we capture your input as to what you liked about today and whether you'd like, something similar in the future. Okay, so we have one last speaker today. After that, just a friendly reminder that we have 4 breakout rooms and a breakout room for each of the speakers that you are welcome to attend to ask any further questions. So with that, our last presentation today is from my home team, Farmable, about rethinking farming data. Vidi Kumar is our Chief Marketing Officer, and she's passionate about sustainability and bringing technology to the agricultural sector. She has about a dozen years of consumer behavior and brand development experience. If you haven't heard about Farmable, we are an ag tech team that grew out of Norway's largest fruit farm. And we are building a platform exclusively for the data management of fruit. With that, I'm gonna pass it over to you, Vidi.
So hi everyone, thank you so much. It's been an interesting talk listening to Charles, Ollie and Claire, and a lot of what they talk about boils down to the topic I'm going to talk about, which is really all the data that you're generating on your farm, right? Everything that you do, whether it's through robots, sensors, notebooks, all that is data that's sitting on your farm. And the amount of data that's available to growers is just going to grow. So you have drones, sensors, precision agriculture, farm management software. There is so much data that an average grower has to deal with that it can get a bit overwhelming. And especially because of the challenges, some of the tools aren't always user-friendly. They're really good in what they do, but not always very good for getting set up. They aren't built for fruit and tree crops. So luckily this webinar is mainly for fruit and tree crop growers, but as you go out there, there aren't that many tools that are specifically for fruit and tree crops. And the data really sits in different systems. So you have all this knowledge on the farm that's not really talking to each other. It's sitting in different systems. And 90% of the fruit growers that we surveyed they actually prefer or use manual collection like notebooks and spreadsheets. And again, that takes effort to do. And at the same time, when you get more data streams into the farm, it's not really going to be talking to each other. It's not the most sustainable way to go about things. That's the challenge that our founders, Lars and Paul, they are growers themselves, owners of Norway's largest fruit farm. And this was a question that they had, that how do we really prepare our farm for the future? Because the technology in terms of hardware is doing really great, but having that system, which sort of like a operating system for the farm that brings all of that together, the software hasn't really kept up. And that really was the genesis of Farmable. We took a different approach, that instead of designing for the desktop first, we said we will use the tool that farmers typically have, growers typically have when they're out in the field, which is your mobile. So with a typical smartphone and the ability to, and a little bit of a connection in the farm, you can actually access you can see and monitor your farm through your phone. So it's mobile first. And for almost a year, we didn't even do anything on the desktop. It was just the mobile. And starting this year, we launched the beta version of the Workbench, which I'm going to talk a bit, the web portal, which is the desktop tool. And I'm going to talk about what each of these platforms really does in helping growers digitize their farms and get on board in a very user-friendly way. So the first 2 steps were really to make a very easy to use tool that can replace paper and spreadsheets. So you don't have to maintain large files and sit at the end of the day on your desktop entering all that information in. And how do you simplify communication across the farming team? These are the 2 first steps we took that we address in the Farmable app. So the benefit that you have today is that you can have total control over your orchards if you start using the app from day one. You get automated documentation. You can share information with advisors. And what this really brings about is, as you keep using the app, it's a behavioral change that can pave way for future benefits. So all the data trends, visualization, everything you can see in one place from different data streams, connecting weather data, sensor data, drone data from drones, sampling results, machinery, all of that can be in one place. That's really the long-term vision. So you can then start understanding the ROI per block in your orchard. So our mission really is to reinvent the way growers gather, organize, and use that data. So what do we mean when we say these three things? The first is, one of the biggest barriers to adoption is that the technology is difficult. It's typically expensive. I don't really know if I need all these features. So people don't want to get on board. Growers find that a bit, I'm not really sure if I want to commit. So we made the app, which is free for use. All your data, which you are now keeping in paper and spreadsheets, can be in the app. That data is owned by the farm. So one of the questions we get is, if you're a free app, who owns the data? The data is yours. You own it. The reason we've kept the app free is because we want you to see value of using this in your farm before we actually start looking at ways we can monetize that. All the data that you collect through your app, whether it's, and I will talk a bit about all that you can do in the app, you can visualize all that data on the desktop. So the desktop really becomes your tool for organizing and analyzing that data rather than doing the data entry sitting on your desktop. All the stuff that you do in the fields gets automatically pulled into the app. I mean, as you put it into the app, it automatically gets pulled into the web portal. And when you start seeing value, you can filter and export. For example, you want spray logs. Everything that you've entered, you can export it as a report in PDF, XLS, or CSV. We are going to launch features where you can export timesheets and different kinds of reports that you need going forward. So what we're really doing is the rethinking the way you collect your data and the way you can use your data, because all that, just as you have fruits on your farm that are valuable, all the data that you're generating can be extremely valuable for your farm to improve yields and improve efficiencies on the farm. So with the app, you can map your fields in a very easy way. You can plan your jobs. You can calculate how much fertilizer you need, how much water is in the tank. You can delegate those jobs to people in the farm. You can track them live to see that, okay, if you're doing it, hopefully you haven't missed a row, you can go back and do it again in case you've missed it. So the live job track, you can share scouting reports. Your advisors on the farm can actually share scouting reports with you and then make jobs based on the recommendation on those scouting reports. And all this happens in the app. You can log your harvest in the app, and as you keep logging it, you can then visualize all this data in the web portal. So going to the web portal, it serves a different purpose. The app is your data collection tool. It's really easy to use, very user-friendly, and it's designed with a human-centered approach. How do you best use the app? And a lot of it is driven by feedback from growers. So when you come to the desktop, all that data that you collected from the app comes into the desktop. So you can see your fields, you can see the kinds of jobs that are happening, how many are completed. You can see your harvest, your sensor data in the future as we integrate those systems, the field notes that you take, which typically would be paper that you would hand around. You can now track it in the app itself, and then you can visualize it here on the desktop portal. And you can pull out logs over a period of time after you filter it. My.farmable.tech is the web portal link, and that only works when you use the app, because the data, like I said, is where you get all your, the app is where you get all your data populated. One of the things we've changed is, again, our philosophy is that we are not ag tech, but we are growers ourselves. So we take a lot of feedback from growers and we design the tool for growers. So these features actually came from user feedback who said, okay, I want these kinds of features in the job because I use it on a regular basis. Building a job based on multiple GPS locations was actually based on feedback from the UK of a grower who'd been using our app and said, this is what I want to see on the app. Can you guys do it? And we're going to launch that feature pretty soon. We can filter based on the field types. So typically it's for tree crops. You can select whether it's for greenhouse, tree crops. You can, in the future, like I said, get timesheets and the picking records going forward. The future features that we're looking to do through the web portal is, if you see value and you believe that, yes, okay, now what I want for my farm are I want treatment reports, then you can purchase just the treatment reports. And these figures are indicative because a lot of the pricing, the way we approach it is we take feedback. So we do pricing surveys. You say based on what you use in the farm, how much you would like to pay for it. And then we collate all that data. And as you keep building data through the app and in the web portal, you can then visualize that data. You can see trends. For example, you can pick out, hypothetically with Ollie's sensors, pull all that data into the information from the drone into the web portal, and you can visualize how that's working in your farm, right? So as of today, we hit a milestone. In fact, today we were 1,997 last night, and today we've onboarded more users and crossed the 2,000 mark. So we're pretty excited by that. But what really motivates us is feedback from the users who say that this is exactly what I was looking for. This is the first time I picked up an app, and that's it. That's really what keeps us going. And we've done over 5,000 jobs, close to 10,000 fields have been mapped on the app, and 21,300 kilometers have been monitored in the app. So that's really the crux of it. Our whole idea is to help you manage your data better and rethink your relationship with the way you actually use your data, gather your data, and organize it. So what you can do is you can download the app. It's free. If you scan this QR code with your mobile, it will take you directly to the App Store. It's free, so you can download it, try it around, give us your feedback if this is what you're looking for. If you're looking for something else, we are happy to listen. You can join our community on Facebook, which is for fruit and tree crop growers. You need not be a user to be part of this group. It's just a group where we can talk about issues or things that are of interest to fruit and tree crop growers. You can talk to Kay or myself in the breakout room, and we'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vidhi, and right on time. We're doing well. Paul, we've got a question from Paul Hamlin. Nice to hear from you, Paul. So I've been speaking with Paul and his team, and he's made a comment here that he's been using the Farmable app, and he's been using it to track with GPS what the workers are doing in the field, and specifically for a task like pruning. Of course, the phone battery is getting zapped pretty quickly. So the phone battery is getting soaked up by GPS tracking for that activity. I can send you a message, Paul, but essentially for each job type you've got in Farmable, you can decide whether or not you would like to GPS track it. So for pruning, I can send you a short note after with a little video clip on how you basically deselect the GPS tracking. So for certain job activities, if you would prefer to have the GPS tracking off, then you can always do that. Because certainly that is one of the downsides of GPS tracking from the mobile phone, is that it can use the phone battery. On other activities, obviously being close to a piece of equipment where you can plug in the phone is useful, but pruning is something where that might be difficult. Does that answer the question, Paul? You can leave a chat, I hope, and you'll hear from me over email. Yeah. Okay, great. So Paul says we use it on particular jobs without the GPS and it's okay. All right, so we just need to be selective about when we turn the GPS on. Excellent. I would like to give a very big thank you to all 4 of our speakers today, to Charles and Ollie and Claire and Vidhi. We do not underestimate the fact that, presenting to over 80 people today, takes some presentation, some prep, and we really appreciate you putting all that information together to share with us.